formed in a dream, kept in a thought, carried across oceans, spoken in whispers, passed down from elders, planted in gardens of okra, prayed for in sanctuary, resisted with fury, protected with faith, created with love, born into being, from root to bone. You are here.
This podcast talks about colonial, racial, and gender-based violence. Please listen at your own pace and capacity. And remember to do what you need to do to care for yourself if you feel activated by this content. Should you need resources, please check out our section on resources at decolonizingtherapy.com. Be well. Greetings, my good people. It is Dr. Jen, and welcome to Season 2 of From Root to Bone podcast. From Root to Bone is a podcast for folks who are parched, poised, and primed to rehydrate our souls and do some unlearning. It's a place where I get to unlock the gates and have real-ass conversations with elders, teachers, space holders, intellectual crushes, people doing some real ass work towards reclaiming the absolute juiciest parts of our ancestry, of our history, of our collective health, moving towards our liberation. I thank you for rocking with me and being here with me. If you're here in Season 2, just know there is such a level of gratitude of being able to have a form of expression, especially as there's so much direct counterforce, right, to the systems that often strip people of the global majority from our voices, from our song, from connection to our ancestors, from a level of that prosperity. Because sometimes when we talk about prosperity, abundance, it is this very fixed piece around money and finances. Now, honey, don't get me wrong. We all need to be in that level of prosperity and abundance as well. But I also believe that part of that prosperity and abundance is the people that we have the pleasure of connecting with, our level of relationship to our spiritual ancestral realms and team, and really understanding the ways in which colonialism and acts of colonization that are currently happening deliberately disconnect us and sever us from our communities, from our voices, from our natural ways of being, from the ways that we pray, that we perceive, that we receive, and how we show up. And so I'm really excited to introduce the one and only, soon-to-be doctora, Minerva Arias. And as the crowd goes wild, honey, as always, our wonderful guests will receive a little bit from me. So I'm going to do a reading for soon-to-be Dr. Arias, and I will introduce her and talk a little bit about my connection with her, as well as bring to the altar something that has really energetically been in alignment related to her personhood, her being, and what she represents to me and this podcast. So sit back, relax, let your belly pop out, drink something warm if it feels good, settle in, and I hope that you take some space and time also to receive. I really love this piece. So you can find Minerva, and we'll add all of this to the show notes, on Instagram as Sagradard, and it's Sagradard. And Minerva not only does grief work, but she, I believe, is a doula of sorts. She is a soon-to-be doctora. She is a mother, and I'm going to get into her bio in a second, but she is also a priestess, and I believe that her work of grief and the intersections to ancestral memory and our guides is not only powerful, but something that a lot of us are starting to step into the stage and come out with more and more and more. And I kind of hear this little jingle in the background, like, come out, wherever you are. There is so much about our spiritualities and religions, particularly African religion, that has been, air quotes, if you're not able to see me, closeted, pushed aside, forced to be hidden. And I know for me and my own path, part of my reclamation and part of my decolonial path is hiding less. And let me tell you, honey, as easy as that sounds and as ferocious as I sometimes may sound, let me tell you, there's a level of like, clench that happens. And I think that my body and my ancestral body lines and bloodlines remember. And part of my work this lifetime is to love on that energy, to understand it, to make some level of peace and awareness with it and clear it and transmute it and alchemize it into something that no one in my line could have even imagined. And so I'm going to read a little bit for you around death and the sacredness, especially as so many of us are sitting with such a level of loss, multiple levels of loss, and so many levels of heartbreak and rage. And so this is called The First 9 Days After Death Are Sacred. And I think this is pretty informative and actually quite beautiful. The first 9 days after death are sacred. What we do during that time matters for them and for us. This is when we elevate them, our ancestors, our loved ones, or those that have passed on, with love, with ritual, and with care. In Espiritismo, we honor the first 9 days after death as a spiritual passage, a time when the soul is not yet fully gone and moving between realms. This is when we pray. This is when we guide, when we offer light to help their journey. During these 9 days, we help the soul elevate. That means supporting their transition with reverence. We offer water and light. We offer words. We offer presence. This is the ritual. Fill a clear glass with cool water. Write their full name on a piece of paper and place it underneath the glass. Set a tall white candle beside the water. Place it all on the floor at ground level. Pray. Speak their name. Ask for peace in their crossing. And each day for 9 days, elevate the water and the candle slightly higher. You can use books, boxes, cloth, whatever you have access to. This is a physical act of spiritual elevation. You are helping them rise. On the 9th day, offer the water to nature. Let the elements carry your prayer forward. Elevation is how we say, you are not alone in this crossing. We're walking with you until you reach the other side. It's how we honor the sacredness of death without fear, but with deep respect. I've read that a few times, and each time I felt a bit in how you communicate, Minerva, there's always a level of deep reverence. And I know it sounds so instructional, but I think that for many people, I've actually screenshot that, sent it to folks, reminded them that they have that power and that access to engage in ritual and to also feel this level of like taking part, being part of the process and not like a bystander in which something is happening to. Right? But there's a process of the elevation, the process of the action, of the movement with and being with the grief is what really I felt. And although this ritual or some form of it, something that is familiar to me, I hold it close. And so for our listeners, Minerva Arias, PhD, almost there. Iya Oyalade is a mother, a priestess, an author, and grief therapist. Born and raised in New York City, baby, to a Puerto Rican mother and a Dominican father, her work is shaped by lineage, ancestral memory, and lived experience within the African diaspora. Trained in trauma studies, somatic and mind body practices, Ayurveda yoga, and end of life care, Minerva approaches grief as both an embodiment, right? An embodied and relational experience, one that lives in the body, the land, and the ancestral field. As an initiated Oya priestess, she works with grief not as pathology, but as a sacred and transformative force tied to memory, sovereignty, and collective healing. We wish to welcome you, wonderful Minerva. Thank you so much for being here. And in my gratitude, what I place on our collective virtual altar that we have every single session is an animal that is close, very close to my heart. And I'm going to give you a little story with this. So this is full circle. A dear, one of my shamanic sisters gifted me this beautiful octopus. And many, many years ago, as I was still undoing and unlearning, both of us attended CIIS and even different places, spaces, timelines. But I would be having dreams consistently and constantly about this massive, beautiful blue octopus and journeys in my shamanic journeys prior to walking a path with Ifá or Santeria or anything. Constant dreams of at first me resisting, right? Like, wait, I don't want to go all the way down there. It's so dark. It's so cold. And then gently they would bring me down. And then I would start like relishing it, looking forward to it, wanting to go to the bottom and the depths of the ocean, spending time with them, learning information. Now, mind you, this is like 10 years ago, right? And now I have to tell y'all that I met Minerva through a mutual people's Renee Sills, right? An amazing astrologer, being, human, creature of light, and just badassery. And Minerva has connected me with some important people in my own life now that have really uplifted me and re-reminded me of my roots. And so I am a child of Olokun, and I am deeply, deeply, deeply grateful for this reconnection. Feels like a plug in a socket and coming home, coming back home. So thank you deeply, more than words could even say. Thank you for being here and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. How are you feeling today? How's this morning treating you?
As my daughter would say, I feel good.
Oh, how old are they? How old is your daughter?
She is a very fiery three-nager. She's a child
Yeah.
of Chango, so she's a very fiery. Gives me a run for my money as a yoga practitioner. Three-nager. I love her immensely. She is my deepest teacher for real. But I feel good. I feel grounded. I'm happy to be here. Grateful to Oya for bringing us together initially, right? So just happy to be here with you, my Olokun sis.
Thank you. And what are your thoughts about the piece that I chose? Real talk. Like, what do you think about the fact that I chose this elevation ritual that you shared with social media?
You know, like I was listening to you and I was like, wow, spirit never ceases to amaze me. Like, um, first of all, like hearing you read it back, I was like, wow, like it sounds so beautiful and poetic and deep. And I wrote that. Sometimes you write things and like because you write it and it's like your everyday and you're just so used to it that you don't really yeah, it's not often that you get to hear back like how your work is reflected, right? Or just like out in the world and how it's perceived and received. And so just listening to you, I was like, wow, yeah, like that sounds beautiful. And because and then the other piece is uh, when I was thinking about uh the like how I ended up in this work and that story, um, that ritual is is uh such a big part of it.
Yeah.
And we'll
Yeah.
get into it, but
Mhm.
just listening to you, I was like, of course she picked that piece.
Well, let's get into it. Yes. And that
Yes.
that was the point is sometimes we don't hear like
Hmm.
dang, wait, I wrote that? Like wait, where I have that? Like, yes. And so again, may you receive because I think that
Thank
you
you.
are a guide and a teacher for so many. And I know you have been for me as well. So thank you for continuing to open up and peel apart pieces of a box that some of us didn't even realize were a treasure.
Thank
So I
you.
hope you
Thank you.
really hear that and receive that. So
Yes.
there's so many questions. And as we were getting ready for this, I'm like, there's so many ways. But really, really, at its core, I am so interested. And I think the children, honey, the people are deeply interested. Well, I'm going to take that back. Not interested. We're all being forced to face some level of devastation,
Hmm.
loss, rage. I think rage and grief are deeply, deeply,
Hmm.
deeply related. Lovers, sometimes cousins,
Yes.
sometimes, I know that sounds messy, sometimes siblings, like so deeply related.
Yes.
But I'd love to begin with the roots. So,
Hmm.
how did grief find you? And how did your relationship with Ifa help shape how you understand
Hmm.
and hold it today? And in asking this, if you can give the people, those listening, your definition and your understanding, perhaps also of what Ifa is, if they are not
Hmm.
familiar.
Yeah. So we're gonna run it back. We're gonna take us back to 2019.
Mm,
And I was in the midst of my year in white, so my Iyaworaje. I was initiated as a priestess of Oya through the Lucumí path. So when I started this journey of coming back to my roots in Ifa, and um, I started in the Lucumí path, and so I was initiated in Cuba. I was in my year in white, and I had went to New York in May of 2019 for my niece's graduation, and 3 weeks later, I had to go back for her funeral.
mm,
And Ibaye, Jade Idalis, Diaz Arias. When I was in my year in white, I was the most spiritually sensitive I've ever been in my life, right? You go through the initiation and it's a death and a rebirth,
mm,
right? In a very deep spiritual way. And you're very, very sensitive. And I think that, for the Lukumi, I think that's why they have you spend your first year in white, is so that you can really become intimate and familiar with this new life, right? You're a baby, right? You're
mm,
in essence, you're a baby and you're just so vulnerable. You're a baby, but you're an adult. You're vulnerable, right? And it's like, you think about a baby, like babies are so vulnerable, like they don't have any vaccinations, you have to just be so careful. So that was my first time experiencing grief in such a uh, like a profound depth, right?
mm,
I've lost people like all my life, right? Like uh my first real intimate experience with death was when I was in high school, when I lost, my godparents, the traditional godparents of like Catholic Church, lost my grandmother, grandfather, father, all before my niece. But my niece was profound, like the depth of that grief. I remember I was driving to the airport to head to New York. And I had a moment where I was just so overcome. Those moments when like you're just so overcome that your head just feels like so cloudy, your vision gets cloudy, right? And everything just feels like you're in the middle of like a whirlwind. But I was driving and I was like, oh my, I don't know if I can curse, but oh my fucking God.
You can curse.
I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I can curse. And then I start cursing. And I'm like, oh, oh my fucking God, like, take a deep breath. You're driving, right? Like I'm driving on the highway, I could crash. Took a deep breath. And the whole way home, on that whole flight home, because I was in the Bay at the time, I would have those moments where it's just like a complete overwhelm, right, of the grief. And then I landed, and as soon as I landed, it was an immediate, I need to tend to her spirit. Right? So it was like, okay, I have this immense grief and I need to do this, right? And that's why I like smiled that was the post that you picked, because that I landed and immediately I was like, I need to elevate her spirit. I need to do this. We need to do this. We need to do that, and I remember the second day of like lifting the glass of water and elevating her spirit, like my family was just too overwhelmed by everything that was happening. And so I did it myself. And like it feels like yesterday. As I was doing it, I had this conversation with her, right? And because she was young and because, she passed away in her sleep, the ritual it felt even more important, right? Because I needed to make sure that she understood what was happening because she passed in her sleep, right? And even though that's really peaceful, if you're not expecting to pass in your sleep, you're gonna be like, what the fuck?
Confusing.
Like what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like where am I? What the fuck happened? Like why am I not awake? You know what I mean? And that's exactly, that was the conversation that her and I had. The second day of like, elevating her spirit. And it was so profound for me, for her, and just like in the process of my grief. And that was the catalyst, because then I went back, I went back to the Bay, and there was just a lot of things that were quote unquote wrong with my life. I had lost like all these things were like falling apart, but things fall apart to make space for the things that are supposed to be, like,
come in.
To like come in to help keep you in alignment, right?
Yes.
And so I remember I was in my shrine and I was like, yo, like, what the fuck? Like this ain't it. Like, this ain't it. Like, this ain't it, And it was like as clear as day, like, go get your PhD. And I was like, nah, man.
Don't you love those messages?
I don't want to go back to school. Like, I'm done. I said this when I graduated in 2010. I'm done. And they were like, no. And I was like, oh. And I was like, I don't even know what I would go back for. And they were like, yes, you do, for death work. And I was like, shh, stop answering me. And I was like, I don't even know where I would go. And it was like CIIS. And it was like, man, so I like literally open my laptop. I go to the CIIS website, literally. Then
I don't think I knew this. I don't think I knew this. Hilarious.
And so then like on the landing page, they were highlighting like recent work done by students. And one of the work was like something on like death. And I was like, man, it's like, I don't want to go back. But it was like, there was no denying it. There was no denying it. I think I had like 3 weeks to get my application in. And when I tell you that was the smoothest process for writing, like writing the thing you have to write. I don't remember what it's called.
Some personal statement, some
your
shit.
personal statement.
Yeah.
getting the 2 recommendations, getting my transcripts, like everything just flowed. It was like boom, 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 boom. And I got it in. And then I got in and I was like, man, I guess I'm going back to school.
I love it.
And so
I
like,
love it.
my dissertation work is all about being able to make space in Western psychology for not only Ifá and Lucumí practitioners, but for those of us who see life, who our worldview is non-linear, right? Like we believe in a cyclical pattern of being.
Yes.
Talking to our ancestors is not psychosis.
Nope.
Right?
Or hearing from them, hearing from them,
having dreams with them, right?
Yes.
Being in conversation with them, in relationship with them does not mean that I'm schizophrenic. I do not need a white jacket. I do not need medication, right? And so it's like, how can Western psychology hold, right, space for those of us who have ties and like ground our grief in our ancestral relationships without being pathologized, right? And so like that's my work. And so so even though like I've experienced grief and I've experienced death like I'm a child of Oya.
What does that mean? Can you tell us what that might mean for those that might not know?
So Ifá, I walk the Isheshe path now. So I walk the Nigerian more traditional path of Ifá. But it's I don't like using the word ancient because that sounds so like archaic, but it's right. It's a system. It's a knowledge system and science and worldview that is like over 15,000 years old, that originated in Yoruba land, that through the transatlantic slave trade, right, came over, to the diaspora, and across the diaspora, like it's practiced in different ways, right? And in Cuba, Puerto Rico, and different parts of the Spanish-speaking Caribbean, or even like Venezuela, Colombia, it's called Lucumí. In Trinidad, they have the Chango priest. In Brazil, it's Candomblé. So, it's like different branches, different seasons and flavorings of Isheshe, across the diaspora. And it's not, I want to just say this to make it clear. It's not magic. It's not woo-woo, right? I hate that phrase, but people use it.
Me too.
It's not about curses. It's not evil. It's not anything that the Western world has tried to tell you that it is, to demonize the power of what it is. It is a knowledge system.
Yes.
It is science, right? It is a way of life. And so at the foundation of it, it's about being able to connect with your Ori, your higher self, your highest consciousness, and connecting with your Orisha, your guiding principle, your guiding energetic principle, to allow you to live in alignment with your destiny, right? Why did I come here? Earth is a marketplace, right? So why did I come here? I came here to burn through karma, so that, if I don't get to burn through all my karma, I got to come back. And, maybe the next time I get to burn through
a little
bit faster, a little bit more. And to the point where I get to not come back. Like I get to stay free as, as a energetic entity out in here, right? Instead of coming back into this body. So that's the essence of Ifá.
Yeah. So as a priestess of
Mm-hmm.
Oya, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that path, what does it lead you? And I have deep familiarity also with Oya, and I definitely have received a lot of messages and a lot of gifts and a lot of love. And I'm wondering for folks out there, and even myself initially, like back in the day, baby Jen walking this path, I was like, oh, I'm probably pa, and I'm probably going to have my head marked as such and such. And there's such a misconception that it's like archetypes per se, or like horoscopes, or
Mm-hmm.
right, like I think that people do not always understand what Orisha truly is,
Mm-hmm.
right, and their place in our lives. And I wonder if you could give us a little bit of that. Yeah.
Whew, that's a deep question. You know,
Sorry. Okay.
my no, it's okay. My because like I feel like my gut response that I want to say to you is I'm still learning myself.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
what I mean when I say that is that every day I am learning and connecting and understanding more, not only my connection to Oya, who is, you know, my guiding Orisha. She is the one, her energy, her principles, like her guidance is what my Ori needs in this lifetime to be able
Mm-hmm.
to work through the karma that I'm trying to work through in this rendition, right?
Yes. Yes.
But you know, my shrine is full of a bunch of other orishas as well that I also have like intimate relationships with, and you know, each one has different energy and different relationship in nature, but also different relationship with each one of us.
Yes.
And my Baba is always telling me, he's like, Orishas exist because we exist. And I'm still
Mm.
sitting with that, right? And he's like,
Mm.
you know, and he'll drop that on me, and I'd be like, man, what? But, you know, so, Oya, just to speak to Oya, Oya is the energy of rapid transformation.
Mm.
Right? When you look out in nature, you can think of Oya as the wind, right? She is the wind. But she also is the river, right? Like in Nigeria, she is the Nile River. She is also a water deity, just like Yemoya and Ushun. But in the West, like people tend to forget that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So she is water, which means that she is motherly. I mean, Yansat, you know, Oya
Yes. Yes.
Yansat,
Yes.
she is the
Yes.
mother of nine, right?
Mm.
She's the mother of those nine. Egun are part of those nine, right? So I see her as a fiercely motherly, protective, like a fiercely loving and protective mother,
Cool.
right? Where she will tell you how it is in the most loving way, right? And yet, there's like jokes about like if you have siblings, like you can talk shit about your siblings, like you and your siblings can talk shit about each other, but the moment someone outside tries to talk shit about you, be like, no, 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 like back, hold up, sit down. Don't be talking about my sister like that, right? Or don't
Yes.
talk about
Yes.
my brother like that. Like
Do not
I
get
could
it
call him a
twisted.
shithead, but you
Yep.
can't, right? And so I
Yes.
feel like, oh yeah, it's like that, right? Like that kind of energy of like, I can tell you
Yes.
this needs to go. And if you don't listen to me, I'm gonna rip that shit out and I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
make it
rip
go.
it.
I'm gonna rip it out, right? Uh, because
Uh,
she's the wind, so she can be as refreshing
mm,
and pleasant as a breeze, right? On a summer day, right? Or as destructive as a hurricane or a tornado, right? So it's about being able to be flexible and adaptable and recognizing, this ain't it. I gotta change course. I gotta change
Yeah.
course. And
Yeah.
if you don't, she gonna be like, um, she might give you like one or two chances, and then she'll be like, and you're like, okay,
Yes.
I guess that's not for me.
Yes. Yeah. And right. And isn't that the beauty, right? Of really also, I think, the gift of these true knowledge, this knowledge-based
Yeah,
system, right? That it's very,
yeah,
as you said, ancient, but yet futuristic,
yeah,
present, constantly evolving knowledge-based system. I don't know if I'll ever learn enough or know enough, nor should I, while I'm here, while I'm with these
right,
bones, with this body.
right.
And as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, since Orisha has come into my life, since since I've reclaimed, yeah, this knowledge-based system, because I was a kid that grew up in Catholicism, communion, confirmation, baptism, right? I used to tell my parents at a really young age, or my mom, because my father never went to church, like, "Ma, why do I have to like get on my knees and talk to this priest and confess? I didn't do anything. I'm a kid." And like at a really young age, I had a very strong reaction to the expectations, and so I would say in my 20s, as I started moving into understanding specifically Santeria and then bits of Ifa, there
Mhm,
was for me this sense of, ooh, like I should not, air quotes, be doing this
mm,
because of the things I've heard, because of the stories my grandmother might tell, or when they would describe somebody that was a witch, air quotes, or that this person did this and they had hair here and they did that, and you got to watch out for that. It was all this like gloom and doom. And I thought, but I'm so drawn, right? Like I'm
mhm,
so like there's something gutturally in my body, mind, and spirit that is like, hey, it's a part of me. There's something
mhm,
here, and they would talk about it too, like, oh yeah, your grandmother this and your grandmother that, and she was a curandera, and this is what she practiced, and um, I wouldn't use the word reclaim, but I would ask
mhm.
questions around like, well, isn't that something that we could be a part of? We're doing this kind of ritual here in Panama. You have me
Mhm.
coming here to do this rite of passage as a teenager. Why can't I? No, 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 no. And I, without it being implied, there was a level of internalized and externalized anti-blackness. Does that make sense? Right? That was
Yep.
happening there, and fear, I would
Mhm,
imagine, right?
mhm.
Hiding, fear of something being too much and too raw and too this. And um so as we're thinking about Ifa, and I would say this passageway that is never ending of grief, and thinking of Ifa cosmology and how this comes together, I'm wondering, in Ifa cosmology, how is grief understood from your perspective? And what might the tradition teach us about grief as something more relational and ancestral and not just emotional? Does that make
Mhm,
sense? The way that
mhm.
mainstream psychotherapy would have us believe, like, is there a particular understanding of what happens to us when we pass, from your perspective? And what could our practices look like with grief in the
Yeah.
traditions?
That's such a beautiful question. I think, uh, where do I start? You know, in in doing the interviews for my dissertation, every time in every interview and every time I've gone back, right, to like listen, when you're transcribing and even when
Mm,
you're the
mm,
process. What I found and find and continue to like sit in the beauty of how when you live this practice, right? Because
mm,
again, it's not a fad, it's not a
No.
let me take your hair and put it in a pot, right? This is a way, this is a way of life,
Mm.
right? It's a way of life. It's your guiding principles, your way of thinking, how you ground yourself every day. So when you have this outlook, when you have this worldview that life doesn't end when the body stops functioning,
Mm.
when you understand, oh, excuse me,
Yeah.
when you understand that when someone leaves their body, that spirit continues to live in a different form, and that you have access, you have the tools and the access to continue that relationship. You just have to know how to adjust,
Mm.
right? And I think for me, that's the beauty of doing this work, like as an Oya priestess, because one of the lessons that she is continuously teaching me is how to adjust,
Mm.
right? Without being attached, right? And I think that my decades of like yoga teaching practice, you know, and this ability of non-attachment, which is so different than what we think of as like detachment and aloofness.
Yes.
But
Absolutely. Yeah.
and so like
Mm.
so you when you have this, when you're in this practice, and even if you're not in this practice, right? Because I don't want it to be like, the whole purpose of my PhD and doing this work is to not necessarily be like, oh, everybody come, like get initiated, like be part of Ifa, because that ain't it, right? Like
Right.
not everybody's supposed to be initiated, but more so of like, y'all, like your ancestors are your first, like those are your people. That is your even before Orisha. Like you have to develop and maintain a relationship with your egun, with your ancestors. Ancestors, capital A, right? Because side note, like not all of your blood folks are your ancestors. That's number
Cor-
one. Number
Correct. Thank
two, not all of your ancestors are blood folks. Some people part of your egun are not your blood relatives. They're just like people who are like, oh, I like that one. Let me go help it. Right? Um, and so, that's so you don't necessarily need to be a priestess or in this practice to have a relationship with your ancestors and to be able to sit with and work with and transmute your grief for the people that who have left their bodies,
Mm.
but also all the other kinds of grief, right? Because grief isn't just about like, oh damn, like my dad died. Grief is like that relationship ended. Grief is that friendship ended. Grief is, well, hot goddamn, the world is going to shit.
Right. Right.
Right? So, but you can sit at your altar with your ancestors and have this relationship and be able to be like, yo, today's really hard. I need you to help me carry this. Or I can't carry this. I'm going to give it to you so you can carry it, because like, just help me.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. I feel like I just went like this.
No, I think you landed precisely where we needed, and I think you're speaking to this need to be with it, right? And to also utilize our cosmology, if this is your practice and your walk, whatever your belief. And I also hear you saying, even for people outside in other religions, spiritualities, ways of walking, to work it, to work with it doesn't always have to be this like tiered hierarchical system. We can also ask for what we need. And I believe that in these times when the grief, the personal and collective grief, and I dare say the historical, is so thick. For me, it's I literally sometimes when I'm sitting at my shrine, there's this sense of I can feel like the ground moving and like the like I'm gonna use this language, but like the skeletons dancing, meaning like the history, the secrets, like things that need to come up collectively and personally will no longer stay buried, and this time I think is like of a chilling of land, of connecting with land. And I don't know, for me, I think that Orisha too is just like such an extension of land and nature, not just land, but like the oceans, like you're saying, the wind, trees, and I'm feeling most connected when I'm there. And then ironically, that is when I'm most able to like freely grieve. Sometimes really cold winter days. Just yesterday, I'm at the park and I'm finding myself like talking to this tree that I adore. I feel like he's the keeper of the space. And, we just say like, hey, oh, your leaves are gone, but, we'll all die off and you come back, just having this like, and then I'm thinking of so many things that have died off in my life this year. All the different levels and layers of who I thought I was and what I thought I fucking wanted and what I thought I was supposed to do. And they're like, oh, no, honey, you're not done. Let's turn you around. Right? Like, no. You ain't even see shit yet. And so like, I for me, you're making all of the sense, and I'm needing to hear it. And I have no doubt that folks listening, watching are also needing to hear this. And I'm wondering, how might you differentiate, since you ran a dissertation in it and all, and like how might you differentiate, or someone out there that is struggling with personal grief, collective grief, or historical grief, especially in these moments of ecological collapse, right? We have political instability and some of it global violence, some of which many of us already knew, felt, saw. This shit has always been here, right? Again, it's coming out from it's showing up. This shit is talking and dancing. So I'm wondering, how might you help someone listening differentiate between this personal grief, collective grief, or historical grief? And like, how could they be with it, work with it, better understand it?
Yeah. That's such a beautiful question. And again, my first instinct is like, sit at your altar, talk to your people, right?
That's an answer. Yes.
And I think, but like, taking a step back and being like more practical about it. First, I want to say like, creating an ancestral altar doesn't need to be like this elaborate thing, right?
Say
Like,
it.
white cloth, just like white cloth, pictures of your folks, nobody who's alive on there. Write the names of people you don't know. Just write the names of like, just call in folks that you call in your capital A ancestors, your egun. Glass of water, rum, coffee, tea, whatever. When you in the morning, I want to assume that most of us, right, have a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, right? Even if we have our lemon water, whatever it is we have in the morning. Pour that first cup to them. Put it on the table. Right? Like, I think sometimes we stop ourselves from engaging these rituals because we have this idea that everything needs to be perfect and it needs to be elaborate and it needs to be no.
Yes. I've been there. Yes.
I mean, me too.
Sometimes I still am. I'm like, I'm just I
Me
need that
too. Like,
thing.
we all are like recovering
Yes.
all the
From white
things.
bodied supremacy perfectionism,
Yes. Exactly. And throw in the like Catholic fear that like underlines, it's like the underlying current of that. But 5 minutes, good morning, y'all. Like,
Mm.
help me navigate the day. Thank you, right? Thank you for loving me. Thank you for supporting me. Help me navigate today. And I think like there has to be some sort of like intentionality around wanting to sit with and explore your grief. So if like first we have to get comfortable with sitting with ourselves,
Mm.
which can be really hard, which can be so hard. I know, right? Like it took me years to be able to get comfortable with sitting with myself with like literally no distractions. And especially in today's time, we're so accustomed to hyper instant gratification. It's really hard to sit
Yeah.
with ourselves. I get it.
Yeah.
But there has to be a commitment, 5 minutes every day, just silence, quiet, like
Mm.
quiet the mind. And when I say quiet the mind, it doesn't mean that immediately you're going to be like, oh, I have no thoughts. No, it doesn't work that
That
way.
would be so nice. That would be so cute.
It doesn't work that way. But like 5 minutes of just like, and this is where nature helps to support us, because you said it yourself. You sit with that tree, right? And or when we're in nature, it's easier to do these things because nature holds us. For me, it's the
Mm.
water.
Mm.
When I go to the ocean, I mean, even my
Yes.
fiery ass three-nager, like she'll say to me, Mama, can we go to the ocean?
Yes.
Mama, can we go to the ocean? Like, even she knows at her tender age what feels good for her when she's feeling overwhelmed. Or even
Yes.
when she sees me overwhelmed, she's like, I think you need to go to the water, Mom.
That brilliance. Mm-hmm.
Pull it
Mm-hmm.
down. But
Yeah.
so being out in nature, and for those of us who live in places, in urban jungles, even being intentional about walking slow, right? So,
Mhm.
if you're walking, listening to music, instead of, maybe play some Tibetan monks chanting, or, play, I don't know, some hertz, some frequency music, or,
Yeah.
sometimes for me, like it's playing like specific Orisha music, walking slower, and if you're somewhere like New York, stay to the right. If you're walking slower.
'Cause you will get runched over.
Right? So there are, small, powerful ways that
Yeah.
we can first begin to like, slowly build up the ability to sit with
Mm.
ourselves, with our thoughts, with our grief. Because if we're going to start to like explore, not only our grief like on an individual level, that's compounded, because like, let's be for real,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
there's like layers upon layers upon layers of just like our own grief that we've never processed,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And then you have like the family grief. You have like family as in like your living family in this rendition of your life cycle, right? Then you have the family grief of like generational ancestral grief, right?
Mm.
That is not only like worked through spiritually, but like literally encoded in your DNA,
Literally.
right?
Mhm.
And then, the collective grief,
Yeah.
right? And it's a lot. So it's a lot. So we can't expect to like hold it all or look at it all if we're not starting in small bite-sized ways
Pieces. Mhm.
to that allow us to um you can think of it as like a thread, a needle and a thread,
Hmm.
right? And you're just kind of like slowly not taking it apart, but also putting it together very slowly, right? Very intentionally,
Yeah.
so that you're not overwhelming your system, because our systems are already taxed the fuck out. They're taxed out. So working with your grief in all of its compounded ways, it's like has to be in tandem with cultivating a relationship with yourself and your people and nature, right?
Yeah.
So that you're not doing it by yourself, because you're not supposed to. We're not supposed to do anything by ourselves,
Mm.
right? Like that's capitalism, right? And like late
Yes, it
stage
is.
capitalism that has us thinking, but
Yes.
there is
Yes.
nothing in life that we are
Yes.
supposed to do alone. I mean, except
Yeah.
maybe like as an adult, like take a shower, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
and even then, like sometimes that's nice when you're not doing it alone, you know what I mean? But like we're not meant to do things alone. Right.
No,
So
no, no.
even in like
Mm.
trying to sit with, work through, process, transmute our grief, even that we're not supposed to do alone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
you're absolutely right. And I'm thinking as you're talking, I'm thinking of all of the ways that racial capitalism, white supremacy, ableism, right? Like, and I know that sometimes people, you might be listening, maybe you're drawn to this particular episode because of the work with Ifá cosmology. Maybe it was the word grief. Whatever reason you have landed here, I trust it is the reason and a right reason, and you're getting nuggets, if not at least one nugget that you're like, oof, I felt that. Yeah. And if you're not understanding concepts of, for whatever reason, racial capitalism or ancestral trauma or intergenerational trauma or how colonization impacts your mental health, then guess what? How beautiful. This is an opportunity for any listener out there to say, hey, I'm going to read a book, right? I'm going to check this out. I'm going to listen to this audiobook. I'm going to get curious. Even if you're not thinking Santeria, Ifá, Candomblé, like any of that is your path, I still think it's so beautiful to learn to have not only tolerance, but understanding and compassion and reverence and respect for other ways of knowing, right? Because I think that part of the ways that colonization takes a hold is the way that Christianity becomes the assumed dominant rhetoric. We see, I'm feeling I'm being legislated right now. I'm like, whoop, because normally I don't stop. Sorry, sis. Normally I don't stop and like have a little all you, but I'm feeling like it's important to also name, especially if you walk a path of Christianity in some way, shape, or form, some iteration. I'm not saying that that is good nor bad, but to get curious and ask, how has this history, this practice, these priests, nuns, deacons, whoever the people are, how has there been harm? Whether we're talking about the missions, on what we now call reservations, or whether we're talking about residential schools, or we're talking about Spanish Inquisition, I think it is really important to look at the ways that the colonial project, right, has interrupted some of our natural grief cycles and ways of mourning. And so Jenna's gonna, so, so yeah, like how, what I want to ask you is like, you speak to such this deep link within grief. And I'm wondering, for folks that are feeling like, listen, my job is only giving me 5 days to mourn my grandmother who raised me all my life and has been the only supported, loving person in my life. Or I have dear, beloved couple friends who, their beloved child did not come to term, somewhere around the 7th, 8th month marker, and lost their beloved dog, and like all in a couple of months. And I'm thinking of the ways in which I step up to support around grief, or the times that I want to like, oh, this is a lot. Like you know how like grief has a way of bringing up our shit, even if we're trying to hold space for somebody else's grief. Does that make any sense? What I'm trying to say,
yep.
like there's something about grief that it brings up our own loss, immortality, fear, all of it, right? Like it's like, oh, and I find myself, oh, well, let me know if you need something, and I'm like, no, so and so, I'd like to do this. I'd like to drop this off. I'd like to come by this day. I'd like to, like, trying to change it and shift and not so much put it on the person, to tell me what they need. Because as you were saying, sometimes it's the fog, sometimes it's dry mouth, sometimes it's, oh, when is the last time I ate? Oh, food? Who cares? I don't need to eat. Sometimes it's, maybe I let myself wither away. And I don't, it might be an easier way than dealing with all of what I'm feeling and what I'm not feeling and what I'm numbing out to. And so I'm wondering what you might say, as a grief doula and a personal and collective expert on this work, whatever expert means, constantly learning, to folks that are like, yes, Dr. Minerva, and like, yes, I want to do this. I want to do this work. I want to be more connected to my grief and more connected to this pain. And I got to go to work. And I have a 3-year-old that has special needs or is needing a lot. And I'm afraid my trauma from the past is going to body slam me. Where might we start?
Yes, and yes to all of that. Because I think, so let me unpack that a little bit.
Yeah.
First, I think like when we want to show up for someone else, because you spoke to that and you said something that I think is so crucial. When, for example, someone loses someone to death, first of all, if they got 5 days from their job, like in the United States, that's like a miracle. I think
Right?
3 days is standard. So I'm like, wow, you got 5? Like,
Preach.
wow. So like
Preach.
that whole system of like bereavement allowance is shit.
It's shit.
But, so in the initial stages of like, grief, and it doesn't have to be when someone dies, right? When someone is going through something, the default is let me know if you need something. But when you're in the thick of it, you don't know what the fuck you need. You don't know what you need. What you need is for people to just sit with you, saying absolutely nothing sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so that's why I say again, at the core of everything is learning how to be okay sitting with yourself, because then that allows you to sit with someone else, right? And not rush to fill the silence, not rush to try to find the right thing to say, right? Like sometimes the person just wants to just not feel alone. Like at the core, as human beings, what we want is to be seen and not feel alone. Yeah. And when we are going through such profound changes, right? We just want someone to see us, to hold us, right? Like you want to be able to like fall apart and know that someone is there to hold you, right? And so if you have the capacity and the capability to be that for someone, be that for someone, right? Sit with them, hold their hand, bring them food. Don't even ask, just bring them food, bring them water, help them take a shower. Don't, like, I don't know, ask them if they're sleeping, if their sleep is disrupted, like maybe, find resources, right, that will help them sleep a little bit better. Maybe they want to find like talk therapy of some sort, like help them do that. If it comes to like, an actual like death, ask how you can help with the logistics of everything. Right? And so again, if you have the capacity to do this for someone, do it, right?
Yes.
And then I done went down here and then I forgot over here.
I love it. So how we could start dealing with it too, like how in the midst of all this loss. I'm in loss, you're in loss. We're all
Mhm.
grieving and losing, and making space for that.
Yeah, not getting
Yeah.
consumed by it, because that's the other
Yeah.
thing too, right? Is that like one thing can and often does trigger
Mm.
all of the other grief and losses that we've experienced. That's why I like to say it's compounded.
Yes.
It's compounded, right? And so like you might, I don't know, it might be like the loss of a friendship, and then that just brings up the loss of, a death of some sort, or, all these other feelings of grief around personhood, around identity. I'm not good enough. People keep leaving me, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
All of these different
Yes.
compounded grief that we just
Yes.
store in our body. And I think, to and I'll speak from my own experience, and like as someone,
Mm-hmm.
who's a solo mom who does have a child to take care of. So I don't have the ability to just fall apart,
Mm-hmm.
and not,
Mm-hmm.
and for days on end, because I have a
Mm-hmm.
child to take care of, right?
Yes. Yes.
But it doesn't mean that I also like hold it and don't allow myself to, let it go. So when she's asleep, when I'm in the shower, and the water, right? I just let it come out, right? If, a yoga class, a meditation class, or any sort of, like, I would say probably the best thing you could do is some sort of body movement thing, dance, yoga,
Yeah.
tai chi, running, walking, anything that allows your body to move, so that you
Yes.
can move the energy, so that
Yes.
it's not being stored in your body. Because when it's stored in a body, that's when it starts to create problems, right? Because even
Yeah.
from an Ayurvedic lens, right, our natural state of being is one of health, right? And all of the issues that we face are when we are, so it all starts in energetically, our emotional body,
Yes. Agreed. Mm-hmm.
right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
like, if you don't have the ability to just, fall apart, or you're confined by timelines set by Western society and capitalism, and you only have 3 days, to take care of everything, or you don't have any days because it's not seen as something
Mm-hmm.
worthy of bereavement by
Mm-hmm.
your
Mm-hmm.
job.
Mm-hmm.
The ways that you can take care of yourself, again, the small ways, right? So that altar, small moments
Mm-hmm.
of learning to sit with yourself and engage with yourself, and some sort of physical movement,
Yes.
right? And you know letting yourself cry in the shower.
Agree. I agree. Thank you for that. And thank you for bringing that. Like, it seems so simple, yet, as you were saying, even it requires for us to be with ourselves, to sit with ourselves, as you were saying, in front of your shrine, your goon, your ancestors, however it requires for us to also be willing to commit,
Mm-hmm.
even for that 5-10 minutes. And so I think it's so important. I have a little story related to this. So a couple of months ago, as you know, I fractured my shoulder socket and tore my rotator cuff through a fall. And I at prior, well, it happened while walking, and it sounds embarrassing, but it's I went flying on a horrible sidewalk. Um, and I was feeling really good prior
Mm.
to falling, right? Like, I was like, oh, the sun is out, it's crisp, it's fall in Jersey, and boo, 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 walking around, thinking my thoughts. I have a meeting in a little while, and I was feeling so good, and I was in my like movement, moving my body in a way that feels good, that feels right, that my body needs. And then the fall happened, and I don't think that I realized because it wasn't like a car accident or some sort of horrible, it was a fall where just me and a ground falling. I didn't realize that there was also some sort of like traumatic piece to it.
Mm.
So I realized I was like not wanting to walk even like weeks after that. I mean, my arm was in a sling, all of that. But I realized I was feeling a little more like this. And if you can't see
Mm.
me, like contracted, constricted, and like my neck started hurting. And sure, the shoulder isn't moving, the arm isn't moving because it's stabilized. But there was something in me that was also like, oh, like, well, if I could get that hurt and my knee could blow up to that size and all the blood and all, like, if I could get that hurt when I'm feeling good, when I'm moving my body, when no one is doing anything to me. And again, I know this is such a basic example, but I'm getting to the point. So I had a moment, and I had an elder say to me, like, when is the last time you moved? I'm like, well, I can't move. Like, got all of my, I can't. Just like, you have the gift of movement and mobility in your feet. You have the gift and the access and the privilege to move that left arm. You can move your neck. You can, right? You can sit up and down, and your knees are back to moving. And I was like, yeah. And I got emotional a little bit, and I realized there was something there. So I started doing my like basic little videos, like little videos, little movement things, because I was now allowed to like, right? And do you know, in some of the most basic, gentle, like hopping, a little qigong, I would sob. I would start, that's the point. That's the point. I would start sobbing, and I thought to myself, and it still happens. And the sobbing is not related to a particular thing or even just a fall, or it's like there's all this stuff that's been stored in my body, and movement has been a way for my body to metabolize, process, especially as therapist days, right? Like get it out in some way, sweat it out. And sometimes I would cry it out. I'd do kickboxing and start crying midway in the class. I'm like, why am I crying? Don't judge it. Let it out. So I'm just thinking of that. Like, it's something as simple as doing a little bit of like jump rope simulation. And that movement, for whatever reason, would stimulate that energy or the dis-ease coming out of my body. Does that make sense? Is that kind of like what?
Absolutely. Because you were holding,
Yeah,
right? Like
literally.
you're holding.
Yeah.
And so I think the other thing I want to add is that when we are doing this work, we have to offer ourselves so much grace, because it'll be so easy for those voices to come into our heads that say, stop crying, you're too much, or the plethora of other things that like
Yes.
underlying stories that have been embedded, right, in our sub unconscious from, growing up in the hegemony in which we've grown up under,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That says that we are not worthy of our feelings and feeling them. And so it's not uncommon that when something happens, so like your shoulder injury, that you start hunching your shoulders forward, because that's actually a protective, you were protecting your heart, right? And that in those movements, right, or just like in that unconscious folding forward of your shoulders, right, to protect your heart,
Yes.
that there was a oh shit, I hurt myself. So I hurt myself walking, and so now I don't want to walk, because what if I hurt something else? And what if, and I think, and this is going really deep, but like I think that the like underlying layer, right?
Yeah.
That we all have is, I don't want to die.
Yes.
I don't want to hurt myself. Oh shit, I fell. like, and sometimes these are like not conscious thoughts,
Yes.
but
Yes.
I think the underlying current in so many of us is I don't want to die. There's a fear of dying because we don't know what happens. And I think that disconnection of
Yes.
having relationships with your ancestors
Mhm.
keeps that fear instilled as like these are undercurrents. These are like, I'm talking about like the olokun layers, right? Of like our unconscious, like what is sitting in there. And that fear drives so many things, right? And so it's like,
Yes.
I don't want to hurt myself. I could. And so that, you're holding. And then as you start to release, it's like the floodgates open,
Yes.
right? And everything comes rushing out. And you're like, oh shit. And that's why I say we have to be so gracious with ourselves. And, like I used to teach, I mean, it's now online, but like an 8-week course called The Sacred Ritual. And the essence of it, right, is developing a relationship with yourself, becoming best friends with yourself, and like using meditation and a 40-day japa, right, mantra as a tool, an anchoring tool to keep you steady, because we just want to run away. Like we're like, oh no, like if you think about it, you open the floodgates and you're like, shit, I gotta run because I'm gonna drown. I'm going to drown. So instead of drowning, how can I take a deep breath and float? Because when you think about what you need in order to float, is you need utter surrender.
Yes.
You need to be relaxed. You need to have faith. You need to surrender, right? You need to breathe, right? Then you can float. And so then instead of being consumed by the floodwaters, you just take a deep breath, lean back, and you float. Surrender. Right? Surrender to it. And there's such a relief, but that doesn't come like, it comes from steadfastness, graciousness, and like commitment. Be committed to yourself, right? Like be committed to yourself, like love, like just like be so fiercely committed to yourself, and let that be the driver instead of everything else that, like, right, white supremacist, capitalist, like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, has taught us, right? Like, don't let that dominant hegemony, right, or the dominant ideology, or sometimes I hate using big words, but like, don't let the dominant, right, like ways of thinking be the driver of your life.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's
yes.
stop there.
Yeah, no. And the mic drops. Yes. Like all of that, right? And as you said in the beginning, also this level of compassion and spaciousness, right? These words, surrender, this, I find that at this time more than ever, people are searching for answers, and then they're all around us, right? They've been embedded in our own DNA, right? They've been embedded in the ways that we move, and yet we're still seeking more. We're still but we haven't established yet. And I'm generalizing, but I'm also speaking of myself, that I have to constantly remind myself, like, wait, I'm building this life around energy, and the energy that I want to bring and continue to hold does not include urgency, because then I become a tool, right? To to all these supremacies. Then I become a tool of lying to myself about what is innately mine. And that's psychology, social work, counseling, even education as it is, as in this structure, in this industrial complex, can't give us what is innate within us, right? They can add little pieces. It could teach us how to do this. Sure. I don't regret write my doctorate or anything like that. It's been good information. It's allowed me to learn a lot about myself. It's also helped me learn a lot about how not to work with people, right? And how not to work with grief or disenfranchised grief, suffocated grief, historical grief, all of it, right? Like, and not because it taught me, because I was like, oh shit, you're just lumping grief in this like one little right? Like you're putting grief in a diagnostic statistical manual. Is this like, I don't even know what it's called now. I forgot what they have in the DSM for grief. I can't even remember for the life of me. I know. I don't even know. I'm so like removed from it, but
I ain't even look up the definition. I don't know.
Good. We shouldn't. No, we don't need it, because regardless, like I remember working with a young woman, Dominicana, in Jersey City, who came into me and I thought, oh, she just lost. I could feel the loss. I could feel the like eyes blinking, not quite in the body. Spirit was somewhere up there trying to find a way in. And I literally felt, and I'm just gonna, her spirit like communicated like this danger. Like we're in dangerous zone that I've been so far out for so long, you know, and she had lost her mother and was now sort of parenting little brother who was in high school. She was in college and working a full-time job, as many of our students were. And dad was working a lot and in grief for losing his wife as well. As of course, my Isis jumps up and is like, what? You're talking about mothers and death and rebirth? And I assumed with the energy and the presentation that this had been very recent. It was 10 years.
Wow.
10 years. And in that moment, there was nothing that my psychological education, I'm being sorry, but I'm gonna be real, has taught me that would have really helped me hold that level of frame, right? And we did, thank goodness, end up being able to use her spirituality, you know, and her ancestral connections, you know, as a way to help her get back in and bringing mom into the session, you know, right? Like literally, and learning how to elevate mom, and then her feeling little by little a little bit better and better and better, and connecting her with her own spiritual guide, so that I was not the, you know, I'm just starting to help and open and clear some cobwebs. But literally, I remember going and talking in like case conferencing with my colleagues. I'm like, yo, how much do I share? Right? Because are they gonna say I pour boundaries? Are they gonna say, oh, you really should have followed Yalom's theory of fuckery and right? When we needed
5
action.
steps.
Does that make sense? So like, I know you and I could be here speaking forever, and this is why I friggin' adore you. So I have like 2 more questions, and I would be remiss if I, you know, with you and I being here, we did not speak to also this like connection, as we were saying in the beginning, with grief and rage, you know, and you and I both speak to this link in it in different ways, and yet they merge together so beautifully. And I just wonder, for our listeners and for you, like, how do you understand that relationship between grief and rage, and what happens to a people when the availability or the normalcy of like being in deep grief or having rage is stripped from them or pathologized or minimized? So yeah, like, what are your thoughts about it, and what do you want people to know about this relationship between grief and rage?
You know, I think that rage, just as much as grief, is not allowed. People are really uncomfortable with rage and with grief.
Yes.
They want you to like keep it together, right? Like it makes people really uncomfortable, right? And there's no the other thing that like wants to come out is there's no one or the other. We are human beings, And like we can hold, like, it's 2026. Can we like move into the space where we're holding the complexity of like all that we are? Like
Yes.
I can have rage, be filled with rage. I can also, and right, be in deep grief, and I can also like fucking laugh my ass off because like something somebody said was really funny, right? Or like, and I can also like hold like an immense amount of love for like my daughter, my spirits, my people, right? Like, and in actuality, right? Like grief, love, and rage. We can even say like, you and I should work on like this is the new trifecta. Grief,
I mean,
love, and rage,
I
right?
agree with you.
Because they're all intertwined, right? Like
Me too.
I can't experience grief. I can't experience rage if at the core there wasn't like a deep love there, right?
Absolutely.
And it's like I can't like I want to say like I can't love if I also don't have the complexity for grief and rage, because my ability to like love, right, extends beyond I love myself. It extends beyond I love my daughter. It means I love folks. Like I love my community, right? Like I mean, and I'm hesitant to say that because I'm like sometimes I don't like humans.
Yeah, that's real too, though.
I don't like humans, but I love, right? But I love my community, right? And I
Yes.
love, I love in
Yes.
that way, right? But it doesn't mean that I love every single human being.
Yeah, no, nor do we need to. No.
Some people, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But, I think like being able like fully lean in and experience, right, the depth of your rage, the depth of your grief means to all like and the depth of your love,
Yeah.
like I just like you can't have one without the other, it feels like, you know what I mean, like, but I think another piece that's like so important besides being able to experience like the depth and the vastness of it is to know how to not be consumed by it. And I
Wow.
think that because as a society, we not only are we taught that the full range of our feelings are not okay, because of that, we don't know how to engage and handle and move beyond, right?
Yes.
Like, so we need to feel them, but it doesn't mean that we stay stuck in them. We have to
Mm.
know how to move beyond them,
Mm.
right? We have to know how to not be consumed by them, right? That's why, like, I always, like, because I'm deeply political, if that wasn't obvious, right? But like in my days of, like grassroots street activism,
Mm-hmm.
like I learned, and that's why like part of the reason of why I transitioned into becoming like a yoga teacher and doing yoga is because I've learned that in order to stay, oh, there goes my right, in order to stay present in the fight,
Mm.
right, in order to stay present in the rage, right, I think you say this rage against the system, right,
Yeah.
in order to stay present in the grief over like what the fuck is this, right, like I feel like every day we wake up to the news and we're like what the fuck is this. In order to stay present in that, we have to do things that allow us to not be consumed
Yes.
by it, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
um
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. All
yeah.
of that, right? And as you're talking, I'm just thinking to myself, a healthy question for most people to ask is like, yeah, what is my current relationship to my grief? Right? Like what is my current relationship to rage? And
Mhm.
I know Yeah, lots of folks, lovely folks, are like, "Oh, no, 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 I don't really do rage. It's not my thing." And I, you know, and for good reasons. I understand sometimes there's like a really violent step parent they had, or they grew up around a lot of DV, like lots of reasons why we choose not to access that. Right.
Mhm.
Because it's not, sometimes that fire just gets internalized, and that's what concerns me. All right. And sometimes we sit with our rage long enough, we realize grief, that its name is grief. And sometimes, right, we sit with our grief long enough and we're like, oh, right now, related to this situation, I'm really fucking beyond enraged, and yeah, and like you're saying, and all of this is because I love so fucking much. And I say this all the time. Like my rage and my revolution, I think Immortal Technique said this, is like born out of love for my people.
Mhm.
Not hatred per se for others. It's like I want us all to be so sovereign and well, you know, and find
Sure.
whatever our sovereignty looks like on
Mhm.
us.
Mhm.
Not that mine is going to look like yours and yours is going to look like hers and my activism should look like that one's, but that we are so unapologetically ourselves and
Yes.
messy and
Mhm.
beautifully, normally, humanly chaotic, that we find this level of peace and still be seen anyway. And so I hear you. Everything you're saying is like, yeah, can you be with yourself? Can you sit with yourself? Like, can we sit with the complexity of all that we are? So I have a last question for you. Um, and it seems like it's a simple question. So this is right before I ask you where people could find you, and all of that will be in the show notes, y'all. You also have website, Instagram page, anything that Minerva will be doing. So my question is, if grief is a teacher, what do you believe that it is trying to teach us right now as a global society and as a world?
I love that. If if grief is a teacher, whew, that just like it's making me want to cry
Mm,
because grief has been my teacher.
mm,
And the reason why I'm even sitting here today, right? And Ibaye to my niece one more time. Jade Idalis Diaz Arias. Um, Grief as a teacher for all of us right now. It is trying to get us to reconnect,
mm,
to slow down and to reconnect with ourselves, to reconnect with the essence of what this is, what this life is, and to connect beyond our nose,
mm, mm,
right?
mm,
So to connect beyond, to connect with our communities, to connect with the world, to connect with nature, to connect with the world, with the spirit world, and in our spirit guide. But there's an energy, a collective energy, right? And if we had to name it grief, and if we had to say what it was trying to teach us, it's trying to teach us to cry, to
yes.
feel, right? To
Yes.
just be present. Um, yeah.
Beautiful.
And that it's okay,
Yes.
right? So if no one's told you, it's okay. It's okay
Mm,
to cry. It's okay to like be with your grief, to see your grief, to hold your grief, to love your grief, to be enraged with your grief. It's okay. All of that is okay.
Thank you. We needed
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for your enormous amounts of grace and medicine and fire and wind and you know that beautiful hurricane energy. Like it's like this grounded center, but I can feel all the like woo, all the beautiful winds around us. Thank you for being. Yeah, thank you for bit by bit the ways that you're unfurling and making it palatable and compassionate for people to be with their really sacred grief. So thank you. I know I needed this as well. And so Minerva, where can people find you? How can they best connect with you? Is there anything you'd like them to know as we wrap up?
Yeah, well, first, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
It's been great talking to you. So in this way. In this way. So thank you, Bill. And thank you to your folks and to my folks for,
Yes.
connecting us and allowing for all the ways in which our relationship continues to unfold with each other. I value you in my life, so thank you.
Likewise.
And
Thank you.
folks can find me, sagradard .com. You can find me on Instagram, Sagrada Sagrada RD. Sometimes the languages, they mix up in my brain. But honestly, like these days, I'm on Threads, and I don't know if folks are on, like, Threads is where it's at, and that's kind of like where I like to be. So it's the same,
Yeah.
Sagrada RD. At one point, I hope to have a YouTube channel.
Yes, me
But,
too. We'll work on it
we're
together.
working on it. We're working on it. But yeah, you can just find me Sagrada RD. Is in all the ways is how you can find me.
Beautiful. Thank you. And of course, we will have this in the show notes, as well as any other information that we have brought up during this episode. Folks, thank you for being on this journey with us. I thank you. Minerva thanks you. Argun, Isis, my cat, thanks you. Just remember that never again will we be in this place, in this space, at this time, with these feels, in this world, talking about our grief and our Argun and our beloved Ifá cosmology. So thank you again, Minerva, for being here. And please, you can find me at drjenmullan.com or Decolonizing Therapy. There'll be some changes soon. And you can connect also with me on Threads and on YouTube. We'll put all of that in the show notes. And if this episode and any other episode resonates with you, please, number 1, leave us a review, right? Number 2, leave us a 5-star rating, honey. Number 3, share it. This way other folks can receive, like if you're thinking of someone and you're like, yo, this episode is really going to smack for you, send it to them. But also it can uplift smaller, more grassroots, self-funded podcasts just like this one and support the people in your community who need to hear it and receive it. Podcasts are a love language and it's a labor of love, right? Like this is completely, this isn't bringing in any money, but this is one of the ways that myself and the people on the show find ways to give forward and pay it forward and allow for space and access and healing to individuals at all level on that economic level. So we see you, we're with you, and let us continue to ride out and continue to unblock ourselves and continue to block and take down anything that is oppressing our sovereignty, our ways of walking in this world and being. This is Dr. Jen. Thank you. This is From Root to Bone. Have a beautiful one. From Root to Bone is a podcast from Decolonizing Therapy. It is hosted by me, Dr. Jen Mullan. Our producer is Tribble at Ash Tribble Incorporated. Original music by Laura Burke and cover art by Madre Shell. Don't forget to find us on Instagram at Decolonizing Therapy and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Decolonizing Therapy, for the full video version of each episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your people and leave us a 5-star rating wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps people find us. For more info about decolonizing therapy, visit our website, www.decolonizingtherapy.com. Be well.